Welcome to the Cheer Athlete. This week, we're going to talk about what it takes to have actually good control when you are stretching and doing your exercises to help you improve for cheer. Welcome to the Cheer Athlete podcast, where we bring coaches, parents, and athletes expert tips and advice to help keep cheerleaders healthy, strong, and at the top of their game. Now let's go. So let's get started. I am excited to talk to you about the control and the flexibility because I just saw a really cute young athlete who was doing her exercises. She's committed to them and she does it every day. And I think that was really cool. Her mom posted this video. And as I looked at it, I don't think the exercises were bad. They're not things that I would prescribe. And as a physical therapist, I don't love the intensity of them, but I think they're pretty common cheer exercises. Things like doing a kick up to try and to work on the back stunts. And she had a stunt stand and she was pulling up into her heel stretches. And I think the practicing of them was excellent. What I didn't like as a physical therapist is her leg that she was standing on was hyperextending and locking out. And as she did that, the knee locked out and the hip went back. So she actually loses a little bit of stability from the hip. As she locks her knee, she gets into a flexed position, which is going to end up making her heel as she's going up into a higher stunt. Also, as she was doing the kick-ups to get the back stunts, I'm sure she's working on needles or arabesques, any of that, and trying to kick up. She wasn't working on the grab, but she was holding on and doing something similar to a bird dog, but her back was really arching. So not only was her down leg hyperextending as she's doing that, but her back was really arching. And there is going to be some level of hyperextension as she goes to grab her leg and back extension. When you're training it, you want to train to keep the ribs down and keep the core stable. And so when we're training and we're just kind of whipping through and not thinking about where our body positions are, it will put more strain and put more intensity into that lumbar spine, therefore creating more of a shear, potential for a spondylolisthesis, back pain, and back strain, and her stunts aren't going to be as stable. I talk about this all the time. Most moms are looking for their cheerleaders to be more flexible, and especially for flyers, you want that flexibility. But we need the stability to, one, protect our body, two, to be able to do stunts in the air more solidly, or to land our jumps and keep them more solid. When we are just throwing things and just whipping to get the flexibility and just pushing the reaching and grabbing it, holding for a long period of time, you don't have the control. And that's what's key. And that's what is key to preventing injuries, preventing falls, preventing back strain, knee hyperextension, and knee injuries. It's also for wrists and for bases. If we don't have that control in our core and our upper back, we're going to take a lot more through our wrists and it's going to create more pain. So then when you go to tumble, you are hyperextending in the wrists and landing hard on the wrists, and it's a big cycle. So what I want you to do this week as your child's going through her stretching routine and her workouts at home, I want you to really slow them down. Have them think chin tucked, ribs down, pelvis level. They can do that and maintain that ribs down and then extend. They're not going to get that hyperextension through the back. They're going to have that in better control, and their stunts are going to look so much prettier in the long run. Now, let's talk a little bit about hyperextension at the knee. We want our legs to be straight. Yes. But when we just lock out, and it's a cue that we give all the time, right? I used to give my cheerleaders the same: lock your knees, squeeze your thighs. And we do. We want them to be tight, but they have to learn how to get their kneecap to move. So have them sit on the floor or on their bed with their legs straight and just have them look at their kneecaps. Make their kneecap move towards their hip, or if they're standing, move towards their head. So they want to try and they're going to tighten their thigh to do that. That's how you know they know what it means to tighten and to lock out. So pull that kneecap up towards your head. towards the ceiling. If they're sitting down, they're going to do it up towards, they got to go towards their waist and not towards the ceiling because it's not going up that way. It's going up towards this way. Then they're going to come up into standing and do that. Because if your child hyperextends, that puts their hips into a flexed position and more of an anterior tilt, again, taking away the core stability. So we want to just huck the hips underneath a little bit, straighten the knees, but don't lock the knees. And in that straight position, make that kneecap move towards your head. It's going to take a little bit for them to practice and to think about, and it's awkward as they're first starting, but that'll really help to stop that hyperextension, the butt back, and healing. It will help to strengthen around their knees. It's going to help to strengthen their core, and it's going to make stunts so much better. You can apply this to jumps too, as they're landing. I've been working with somebody who has beautiful jumps, but she's got back pain, and when she comes to land, it hurts because she's just coming down real hard. When we're in routines, we want to make sound, like to hit on the beat, and that helps us to know that we're all landing together. And it makes it really clean and sharp for competition. But we actually don't want to make a sound when we land. It's better to make a sound with your hands and get your clean and your snap. But when you're landing, you want to make it as soft and as quiet as possible. That means they have control as they come down into landings. So when we're working jumps and tumbling, try to make the landings as soft and as quiet as you can. I think working on jumps is important at home, not necessarily throwing a jump and working the skill of the jump, but working on tuck jumps and getting their legs up and getting as high as they can, trying to get them to get the power to touch the ceiling. When they do that, it's going to create that explosive power in their legs, which is going to help their jumps appear higher. The strength and the turning out and rotating the hips and making the kneecaps then face away from each other and towards the wall behind them. And that's going to help get the lift in the legs as well. So working on the jump landings will make the jumps much more solid. And it sounds counterintuitive, right? You want to land quiet as you can because you are improving the mechanics of landing. That's when you do that and you work on getting as high as you can, trying to touch, pretending like you're in a basket toss and try and touch the ceiling, and then come down and land as quietly as you can. It really improves that explosive power and control in the body. To increase flexibility for jumps, like for a toe touch or a hurdler, just working and sitting and working on where is that leg position supposed to be. Can they come up and can they rotate their hip back while maintaining their core cues? Ribs down, pelvis level. As they do that and they're working in sitting and lifting their legs that way and without letting their back arch, it's going to create pelvic control. Your hip attaches at the pelvis. So if your hip is stable and your legs are moving and your hips are moving, the jump is going to look so much prettier. Sometimes it's really not a flexibility problem with jumps, right? Sometimes if they can lie down and raise their legs straight up in the air, or if they can sit in a straddle and relatively wide apart, it's not a flexibility problem. It's a strength and control problem. And so working that strength and control will help. And then it's coordination. And they just have to get those repetitions down. I used to work on my jumps in my house. So I get kids are going to work on their jumps in their house. And if you're okay with it, I'm okay with that too. Just work those landings. They shouldn't be shaking your house. They should be landing as quiet as you can. And although repetition and jumps and jump practice in practice, I think is a really great idea. At home, they need to work on the other skills of, yes, some mobility, building strength, learning where their body position is supposed to be, learning how to control their pelvis, learning how to control their ribs, and learning how to control their landings so that they stay strong and healthy. And they're not going to pull a muscle, or they're not going to land weird and sprain an ankle or tear their ACL. So as you go forward, remember that you're working on control. Yes, you're working on mobility, but that mobility is controlled mobility, not just whipping through and arching through the back and not hyperextending at the knees when you're either stunting or when you're doing stretching exercises at home to help you improve. I do think things like bird dogs are really good for back stunts. I think planks are also really good for both back and front stunts. Stunt stand is fine. You can use a stair as far as I'm concerned. Yes, it has a little squish to it to make it feel a bit more normal. I really like a Bosu because that gives you an uneven surface and it's going to challenge you a lot. But the stunt stand, it works and that's good. But make sure as they're going up, they're not locking out, that they work on getting the hip over the knee straight, the thigh, the kneecap moving up towards the head and not hyperextending and not locking out. I hope that's helpful. If you want more information about that, you can check out, you can message me, you can send me a question on Ask a PT, and I'm happy to answer you just one-on-one, or I can do another whole podcast on that. And I'll be talking about this through social media this week. So if you don't follow me on Instagram already, they'll give me a follow on Instagram or on Facebook. It's all the same, Cheer PT on both of them. And I think it might be the Cheer Athlete on Facebook. You'll find me. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and share this with somebody who needs some help on getting higher stunts or getting higher heel stretches or back stunts and who wants to get higher jumps so that they can start to learn how to control their pelvis. And be sure to follow along, and because I'll be talking about this as we go forward. This is a lot of the stuff I talk about in my injury prevention starter kit. I'm working on the control with the warm-ups and how to really pay attention to what you're doing so that you reduce the risk of injury. I think it's super important to pay attention to how we're moving. And now is a time for your kids to learn how to move and how to move correctly so that they don't have pain in the long run. All right. Thank you for joining me this week. I hope you have a great week ahead. If you just competed in an NCAA or in any other all-star competition this past weekend, I hope you had a great time. And if you are finishing up your winter season with and moving on to states, I wish you all the best of luck. Enjoy the ride. It's so much fun. And this year has gone by really fast, hasn't it? Don't forget, when in doubt, breathe out. Take life one step at a time. You can do anything you put your mind to, and you are responsible for your own vibes. Let's go get the day.